Hi everyone, welcome back to Savvy Self-Publishing, where your story matters. So today I want to talk about what it actually costs to self-publish, or what it could cost, because there's various opinions about the cost of self-publishing. Some think that at the very least you should spend money on a cover design and editing. But you know what? Not everyone can afford that or wants to spend the money, because covers can be really expensive and editing can definitely be expensive. And I don't want to put all editors in the same camp, because I know there are excellent editors out there that whose job it is to make our work sound better. But I have heard of authors paying like thousands of dollars for editing and then only to have a really bad experience. So obviously do your research if you're going to hire an editor. But do you absolutely need one? In my opinion, no. And I know that's not a popular opinion, but it's true. If you're pretty good with English and writing, you know what? You can get away without hiring an editor, in my humble opinion. That is what I've done for the most part. I have worked with editors for some of my books. In one case, it was someone who wanted experience with editing. She was just getting her business off and running, so I was able to get it for free. Of course, it took a lot longer that way, but that's fine. She really helped me with that book. That particular book needed some editing. And then for some other ones, I hired people on Fiverr. One of those experiences, not so good, because I'm pretty darn sure they used AI. I could just tell by the way it was formatted, etc., and some of the wording they use. At least it seemed that way. They said they didn't, but so the short answer to do I always have to hire an editor, I would say no. And again, that's not going to be popular, but that's okay. That is my honest opinion, and I stand by it. Because, you know, even in traditionally published books, I've actually found typos in those as well. So, in my opinion, again, a typo, of course, you want to make your book as good as possible with as few typos as possible. But in my opinion, a typo or two is not going to discredit your reputation. Of course, like I say, you want to avoid that. But if it happens, like I say, it even happens to traditional publishers as well, to books that are traditionally published. And so, in my humble opinion, the most you need to pay for a book to be published is to have a proof copy, like this one. This is a proof. This is a proof copy. You'll see from Amazon. All of my books are published through Amazon, but you'll see that line there saying proof, not for resale. That shows you that it's a proof. But I would say that out of all the expenses, the one that you really should invest in is a proof. And you know what? They're not that much. I can't remember the price of this particular book, but it wasn't much. I think the most I paid for a proof was $10, and actually a little bit more than that, because for at least one of my books I needed a couple proof copies. So, but in my estimation, really, that is the most important thing that you need. If you do have the budget for a cover, by all means get a professional cover made, especially with someone like Get Covers. I'm not an affiliate for them. And or you can get editing, of course, like I mentioned. But there are ways around the high cost of editing. Like I said, you can try to find someone who is looking for experience and will either give you a deal or free, etc. But the short answer of is self-publishing always expensive? I would give that a resounding no. It doesn't have to be. So, what do you think? Do you agree with me? Or are you like a lot of people who think, you know what, you should really invest in a cover, you should really invest in editing? If that's your opinion, that's totally fine. But I'm just giving you another side of it to say, if you can't afford it or don't want to spend that much, you don't have to. And you know what? That doesn't mean, if you don't spend money on those things, it doesn't mean your book is going to be poor quality. It really doesn't. Some will tell you otherwise, but I disagree again. So anyway, those are my thoughts on how much it actually costs to publish. I hope it encourages you, gives you food for thought. If you have a different opinion, that is totally fine. You're welcome to leave it in the comments. If I've encouraged you, you can leave that in the comments. I hope this has been interesting at the very least. And I will talk to you again next time. Bye for now.